the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick.
S-I-C-K, it's the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props, or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Raw Knuckles. Hosted by Chris Nilan.
Nilan going ballistic. I love it. He's going to hit his own players. He's a madman. He's a freaking madman. Look at him going to town. That'll be a suspension. That'll be a fine. Bring them all out, Nilan, you freak.
It's gonna be sick.
Yeah, welcome into the Raw Knuckles podcast and Real Talk with Knuckles. And yeah, we're going to talk all things Habs here on every Sunday morning at 11 o'clock. And we will be taking questions. We'll talk about what's going on around the National Hockey League and just where the Habs are at right now. Big 5-1 win last night over the Blue Jackets, and looking at this team the last week, there's been some positive signs. The Buffalo game, 7-5 win in Buffalo. They scored some goals in that game, but they were kind of loose defensively. Then they get shut out against Minnesota. And then last night took advantage of a tired Columbus Blue Jacket team who played 3 games in 4 nights, second game of a back-to-back, and give the Canadiens credit. Looking at that game last night, they probably played the best game so far this season for this hockey team that I've seen them. Overall, defensively, they were a whole lot better than they've been in the past. They were great in the penalty kill. Scored a goal in the power play, and a lot of positive signs last night. But again, it's one game, but it's a step in the right direction. And today, here on Real Talk with Knuckles, my first guest, who would have thought this guy would be lined up with me? But my good friend, Tony Marinaro. Tony, what's up, buddy?
Knuckles, how are you?
I'm good. Listen, the Habs, thanks for joining me here today on this first episode of Real Talk. Last night, the Habs, looking at, their week from the Buffalo game to Minnesota game. Last night, they come out and played their best overall game of the season, I think.
Yeah, look, at the same time, they're beating who they should beat. They're beating weaker teams, and they're having a tougher time versus stronger teams. You were right. They took advantage of an opponent who had played 3 games in 4 nights, and yesterday you saw that Columbus had nothing left in the third period, but really, really nothing left. But it was such an important game for the Canadiens, right? Because they had lost those 6 games in a row. Then they won that game in Buffalo. Then they lose the last game in Minnesota. And the last thing you want is to go on another stretch of losing another 5 or 6, right? So they're able to stop the bleeding at 1 loss, win that game. And now I can't wait to see what's in store for the rest of the month, right? Because, there's an opportunity, I think, for the Canadiens. You talked about their defensive game. On Monday, they got Edmonton here in Montreal. It's not going to be no easy game for sure. But then their next game is on Saturday in Montreal versus Vegas. And, it could kind of serve as a mini camp on how to improve the defensive play and trying to find that balance of playing defensive hockey and providing scoring chances that Marty St. Louis has been talking about. He's been talking about trying to find that balance. So the fact that they got some tough opponents ahead of them, Edmonton and Vegas, is one thing, but in between those 2 games, there's a lot of practice time.
Yeah, there is, for sure. And listen, Edmonton is going to be a test, no question about it. But this team, and I look at the game last night, and, we had talked recently about this team and how weak they are defensively. They're a young team. They got 10 guys, under 23 years old.
Yeah.
5 of those are defensemen, which is, again, adjusting to playing in the NHL. Defensemen take a bit longer. And looking at this group, and they've had a lot of playing time, there's no question, but it'll be a test for them on Monday. And I say that because when I went back and we talked at Winnie's that night, we were talking about the neutral zone. And I talked about a team like the Canadiens where there's times during this season where they should look at playing that style of hockey, that defensive style, that neutral zone where you clog the neutral zone up. And if you look last night, two of the goals, Evans' goal and Condotta's goal, both of those goals were produced off of turnovers in the neutral zone. Turnovers that they forced that other team into. They were up in the play. They flooded the neutral zone. Those pucks get turned over, and they end up in the net. And when you're playing a team like Edmonton, the high-powered offense, they got a lot of speed. You got to find a way to slow that team up, and it's going to be a true test. And again, they played well last night, but you gotta if you want to build confidence in your group, and defense is hard work, Tony. You have to be on your toes. You have to be able to read and react in all situations on the ice, not just in the defensive zone, neutral zone, and the offensive zone. But they really have their work cut out for them on Monday night.
You know, you talked about Condotta's goal. One of the things I liked last night in the hockey game for the Canadiens was the fourth line, because one of the things I've been talking about this year is they don't have an energy line like a lot of lines do. Like in Laval with the Rocket, Anthony Marcotte, who's the play-by-play voice for the Rocket on BPM Sports, he joined me on the Sick Podcast, my French show, which I do Friday afternoons live at 2 p.m. Eastern. And he said that the Laval Rocket have a fourth line of Vincent Arsenault, who drops the gloves. He's their heavyweight down there, with Luke Tuck and Arbor's brother, Florian. That is a fourth line. It's got an identity. They crash, they bang, they hit, they hurt, they forecheck, they cause turnovers. The Canadiens, I don't think, have an identity like that on their fourth line. But last night, I really liked the way that fourth line played. Heineman is not the toughest guy. Yeah. But you know what? He was going out and he was trying to hit everything that moved.
Yeah.
And he was causing a lot of turnovers. Armia was picking up a lot of loose pucks, and it's a Heineman hit, and then it's an Armia pass to Condotta. It's all part of that same play, which leads to that Condotta goal. So I liked their fourth line last night. I liked it.
Yeah, they were good. And Heineman, body checking, was getting involved. He's on top. And another thing he did, near the end of the game there, he was the first one in the pile,
yes,
right?
He was. Yes.
on Caulfield, when he was cross-checking at the end of the game there. But I like this kid, no question. And I've always said it, you need guys like Mia. And again, he may not be here down the road. I get it. But those are the type of players, when they're playing the way they're supposed to play, that will help you when it comes playoff time. He's a guy that can hang on to the puck. He's a guy that, listen, we know he's had issues being consistent. I get that. But that's a type of player you need come playoff time. There's no question.
They need bigger players. In an ideal world, they need bigger players that have bite, because Armia doesn't have bite 82 games a season. Josh Anderson doesn't have bite 82 games a season.
Right.
Think of their bigger guys, right? Josh Anderson is about 6'3". He's an inconsistent player, very unfortunately. Armia is 6'4". He's an inconsistent player, very unfortunately. Kirby Dach is 6'4". He's an inconsistent player, very unfortunately. You need big guys that work hard and bring it every night. That's what they're missing in this lineup right now, because they have their share of small guys. Suzuki's 5'11". Some are going to tell me that he's not small because he's thick and he's 200 pounds. He's still 5'11". Newhook is 5'11". Caulfield is 5'7", 5'8". Lane Hudson is 5'9". Brendan Gallagher is 5'9". And you got Harvey Pinard, who's coming back anytime soon. We'll see where they fit him in the lineup. If he gets in, he's 5'9". You know, of their two best offensive players down in the farm, one of them is Barre Boulet. He's 5'10". They're not big. So guys like Armia, guys like Anderson, guys like Doc, they need to bring it. And one day, if they're not, they need to be replaced by guys with the same size that will bring it. Because you're right. How many teams do you know have had 5'6" guys, 5'11", between 5'7", 5'8", and 5'11", and have won the cup? I can't think of any.
No, you won't either. And again, I've said it before, this team needs men, and the men they have got to play like men on a nightly basis. And they don't. And I'm not saying those smaller players aren't men. I'm not. They're still young. A lot of them are still young kids who are trying to make their way in the NHL. You can win with one or two of those guys if you insulate them properly. But when you have that many, man, it's tough night in and night out. And then come playoff time, that is such a grind. It's the hardest trophy to win in sports. Yeah. And it's going to be tough to do it with a small team. You look at every team that's won the cup in the past 20 years, and they're all big, talented teams that can withstand the rigors of those 4 playoff rounds. It's not for the faint-hearted. That's for sure.
You had your buddy Mats Naslund on the other day.
Yeah.
And Mats was obviously a favorite of mine growing up. I mean, 42 goals in the season, 110 points. He was fantastic. And he was a tough little guy, but at the same time, if he wouldn't have been surrounded by the players he was surrounded with, as good as he was, I don't think he would have had the success. Like, he had Bobby Smith next to him. He had Ryan Walter, who's a thick man. And, you were on that team. And
Skurdlin, McPhee.
Big team, right? It was, So, there's obviously a spot for the smaller players. And the smaller players that are in the National Hockey League have elite skill, or else they wouldn't be in the National Hockey League. But they need to be complemented by bigger guys. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. Last night, before I want to talk a little bit after we get through with last night's game, a little bit about the rebuild, where we are, the fan base, and what everybody's thinking, because everybody seems a little upset right now because this team has kind of regressed they have regressed somewhat this season. And I want to talk about that a bit. But last night we saw Slavkovsky got sat down near the end of the second and into the third period. Now, Habs played good in the first, third period, good. Second period was off, wasn't the best period. But Slavkovsky, I watched him last night. He got pissed off. I know one time he tried to break his stick on the ice, and then he got to the bench and he broke it. He was really frustrated. What do you... And again, we've seen Abba sent down. We've seen Abba get sat out. We see Pizzetta not get in the lineup all season. A kid who we talk about fourth lines, you would think he'd get an opportunity at some point. But I think when we look at Heineman being in there, I think, and we just spoke about Heineman, I don't think we're going to see Mike Pizzetta anytime soon, but unless there's an injury. But it seems that benching last night, that mini benching, that little sit down, what do you think that's about with the coach?
Yeah, so look, Marty St. Louis talked about at one point there was going to be some hard coaching. And he benches Slavkovsky for about 5 minutes, puts him out on a shift with the fourth line, benches him for another 4 or 5, benches him into the third period. And then midway through the third, he gets him back on. I don't know if it's hard coaching when you do it with guys that are 22, 21, 20, 19. You would know you played. I don't know if that is. I think hard coaching is what Jim Montgomery has done in Boston. Yeah. Brad Marchand, you're on the bench. David Pastrnak, you're on the bench. Now you're putting 100-point players, 50 goal scorers on the bench. That's a big move. And it may backfire for Montgomery. And by the way, I hope it doesn't, right? But that's what I consider hard coaching, right? If Jim Montgomery puts lesser profile players on the bench, it doesn't have the same impact. So, look, I think Marty obviously can do it. I think he did do it. I think the Canadiens responded and they won the hockey game. We'll see how Slavkovsky responds going forward because the mental part of the game, who knows? We'll just see. Some players react in different ways. I'd like to see next game versus Edmonton if Slavkovsky is going to come out a lot better. My only problem is, this is my only problem. Suzuki's got points. Everyone's going to look at his points right now and say he's having a great season.
Yeah.
He's having a great season picking up points, but he's had his share of bad games. Doc has had some games where he didn't have effort. Like last game that they played in Minnesota, Vinny Donfus, after the second period on RDS, totally picked apart and obliterated Kirby Dach for a shift where he went in for the puck, didn't want to go in. He had to battle with Spurgeon, who's 5'9", 180, and Kirby Dach 6'4", 225. He didn't want to battle with him. Spurgeon gets it to Chisholm. They get out of the zone. Spurgeon skates up the ice. Doc doesn't follow, doesn't pick him up, is floating, going back into his zone. Vinny Danfus obliterates him. In the third period, they have a key power play to get back in the game. Kirby Doc's on the ice. So here's my thing. Marty, last night, that was a little bit of hard coaching, and good for you. But where was the hard coaching when Suzuki didn't show up? And where was the hard coaching when Doc's been dogging it for like 90% of the year?
Yeah.
Where's that hard coaching?
Yeah, and I get what I certainly get that. And coaches find it difficult, right, to bench those players. One, they feel they may lose them. Two, they may feel they'll lose their job. And those core players, some coaches, most coaches, stay away from that because they're worried about their job. Now,
but he just signed a contract extension.
No, I know.
Is he going to get fired this season?
No, I know. And listen, we've seen it before, but still, I think they worry about losing that player. They shouldn't. Look at Tortorella, and I know he's a special case. He'll do it. He doesn't care for the betterment of the team. If you're not playing well, you got to earn it. I got to get your attention, and if I don't, and not only your attention, everybody else around you, and it always more impactful when you do it to a star player. Now, I'll just take, for instance, when I was playing, and this was a benching for another reason, but we're in Boston. Jacques Lemaire just took over. Okay, we're going into Boston. They, tough team, fighters, everything. It was an afternoon game, morning breakfast. Okay, 10 o'clock or something, morning breakfast. And I got there at 10:05 with Perry Turnbull. We had coffee in our room, boom. Came down, Lemaire's waiting outside. He said, hey, point to 10 o'clock, not 10:05. You're not playing tonight.
Oh.
I'm like, now my family's all there. I'm like, I'm there, no way. I said, come on. I had coffee in my room. Every time we have a team meal, right? Before, like, say the game was at night and the team meal's at noontime. You'd go skate in the morning and then you would come. Some guys would filter in. It's at noon. Some guys would filter in at noon. Some would be there at 10 past. And so it was an opportunity for that coach. And what we needed as a group was discipline. And he used me as that vehicle. And I gave him that opportunity. So now, okay, I'm not a star player, but still, who's really important to that team when you go into Boston?
You.
Yeah.
Tough place to play. The guard.
And Jacques was like, well, you know what? You're not playing. And I didn't play. And they won the game, which was awesome. But boy, did he get everybody's attention. And that was it. And then the discipline started. Discipline in all things off ice. Discipline in practice. Discipline in the way we play.
He set a standard.
Yeah, he did. And everybody fell in line.
Were you back in the lineup the next game?
Oh, yeah, right away.
Wow.
But that game, needless to say, I was pissed off. Perry Turnbull told me, Tony, he said, I'm going in the warm-up. I'm going to show him I want to play. I said, I'm not going to give him the satisfaction to tell me to take my stuff off. He already said we're not playing. So Turnbull goes in the warm-up. He comes in and says, take your stuff off. See you later. So I proceeded to go down with my brother and all my friends at the brass rail, and I got shit-faced. And I watched the game on TV. Was I pissed? I was steaming the whole. Funny, we get on the plane when we flew commercial, right? Then, and we get on the Delta flight, and I remember I get on the bus. I had a sourpuss. I was pissed off. And Serge and Jacques were in first class, and I get on the plane, and I just catch eyes with Serge, and I'm like, no smile. I'm just mean mugging him. And he just starts smiling. He was like laughing at me, right? And I was, Jacques didn't even look at me. He just,
Wow.
and I was so pissed. But listen, it has an effect. So I get why, and I also get why not. And I hear you. He just signed a contract extension, and he's going to be here, yada, yada. But, yeah, I believe me, the worst thing for a player who's a third or fourth line guy is it's always them.
Yeah.
It's never the big guy. And it does, guys get, it's like back in the day. The tough guys weren't the guys who got paid. You know, the goal scorers got paid. But if the tough guys ain't there, the goal scorers, they're going to get their goals, but they're not going to be so comfortable. So,
speaking of Serge, if we can, I was very pleased to receive a beautiful text message from him this morning at 10:30. On Wednesday is his book, La Plus Grande Dynastie.
Yeah.
And it's going to be the unveiling of the book, and there's going to be a Sanka set inside the Bell Center. And he has invited me, and I accepted with pleasure. So I'm sure I will see you there, Nux. I'm sure.
Yeah.
If he invited me, I'm sure he invited you. So I'll see you there.
It's on Wednesday?
Wednesday night.
Yeah, I'm flying out. I'll be in New Brunswick till following Monday. So
okay.
Yeah, I'll have to miss it.
All right.
Yeah, we speak quite often.
Cool.
That's awesome.
But I want to get back to something you said, all right?
Right ahead.
So you talked about a lot of coaches, they don't set examples with some of their veteran players or some of their more offensive players, some of their higher profile players. And we know that Marty hasn't yet, okay? So Marty, it will be, in February, it'll be 3 years that he was hired, okay?
Yep.
So he had the interim tag. They took it off. They gave him the contract extension. Fantastic, good stuff, okay? But here's what we know, though. Here's what we know thus far. That if Suzuki doesn't play well, or Caulfield doesn't play well, or Doc doesn't play well, they're still going to be on the top two lines.
Yep.
And if Matheson doesn't play well, he's still going to be on the first wave of the power play. He's still going to be your first pairing defenseman. And 80% of the time, he's still going to get more minutes than anyone else. Now, I get it. A coach will survive longer in the National Hockey League if he pleases his higher profile players more so than he pleases his lesser profile players. But on a team that has a lot more lesser profile players than higher profile players, I wonder how the Jake Evans of this world, or the Brendan Gallaghers of this world, or the other players, like for example, Armia and Anderson, they don't bring it all the time, but when they do, what's the reward? Now, Evans right now is playing second line center, but is it because he's rewarded, or is it because they have no solution right now because Doc?
Because they can't put Newhook, or they can't put Doc.
Correct. Yeah. So once again, it's more important for him to keep his more higher profile players important. But what message does it send within your team, though? Yeah. That the guys that are working, they can't get a candy.
Yeah, we're not getting rewarded. It's always the same guys over and over. And I think with that, the coach, and maybe my explanation is just my thought, maybe he's going with what he thinks are the percentages. Like, I got to keep coming with that. I'm going to give this guy eventually, he'll get going. I don't want to, like I look at Doc and listen, he's coming off that major knee injury. I get it. But at some point here, listen, you have to go play. You can't be thinking about your knee you gotta, if you're not in shape, are you in shape like you think you should be? I don't know. But this game, always, it hasn't changed. And we know the speed of the game and all that. But if you're not on your toes as a big man and you're not going and you're not skating, you're not going to get there. You're not going to be involved. You're not going to be able to separate guys from the puck. You're not going to be able to get on the puck and get the puck and control it in the corners. That big man, a big man like him, has to be able to do those things. It's the same with Slav. When he is not skating, it is so evident.
Yeah.
and he spreads his legs and you got to move those feet for being a big man. And he has struggled, Doc. There's no question about it. Is he going to snap out of this? Who knows? But
look. So I agree with what you said. So chances are Marty's going to be right that if he keeps on throwing out his higher profile players, they're going to come around and they're going to give him a better chance of winning games more often than not. I get it. But
throw me a bone.
In a lot of companies, right, you have the employee of the week or you have the employee of the month, all right? Yeah. If you can equate that to a hockey team, Brendan Gallagher would probably be your employee of the month.
Oh, yeah.
But he's probably saying, well, it doesn't matter what I do and it doesn't matter what the other guys do. They're getting their cookie and I won't.
Yeah.
I understand those guys are the future and Gallagher isn't. But it could create some dissension, could it not?
Yes, but they won't let it slip like that. If you have good leadership and as far as the dissension, guys are going to think. But like Brendan Gallagher could think that, but what's he going to do? You know what he's going to do? He's just going to get back to work. But not everybody's like that, right? Yep. Not everybody's like him. And and it's certainly a tough situation. And, you know, as far as the coach and what he's doing, Marty, listen, we saw all the speculation about the possibility of, is Gerard Gallant going to get hired? This coach, that they're going to bring in a more experienced guy. And nothing has happened. And that's fine. I'm okay with that, to be honest with you. I think if they were going to do something like that, should have been done in the offseason.
100%.
You do it now. Just say Gerard Gallant comes in here. One, he can't ever be the head coach because he can't speak French unless he's taken French classes lately. But if he came in here to help Marty, a new assistant coach, coupled with the other guys, and all of a sudden this team starts to, things start to change a little bit. They're playing better. They're better defensively. They're scoring a few more goals. And then all of a sudden, what's that look like for Marty, head coach? Now it looks like, well, geez, maybe what Marty was doing wasn't working. Like he's strong-willed, okay?
Yes, yeah.
There's no question. He has his own ideas. The way he doesn't call them systems, right? He calls them concepts.
Yes,
right? Not systems. We got concepts, and that's great. That's great. But in the end, when you get out on that ice, there are certain systems you play that as an athlete, as a hockey player, you also, within those systems, have to be able to adjust when there's breakdowns. And maybe that's where the concepts come in, but this team, go ahead.
Yeah, so Nux, this is what we know about Marty, all right? He's got tremendous character. He's proven people wrong his entire life. And he's always found solutions by himself. Right. So chances are he's not going to change as a coach, and he's going to want to go with that same mentality, right? Now, I agree with you one thing. If they were to bring in an assistant coach to help him out with the defensive part of the game in the middle of November, the optics look very bad for Marty. You're basically telling the entire fan base, all right, we think he can't turn this part of the game around, all right, but another guy can. The optics, I think, look terrible. All right. Yeah. Now, so a lot of people have asked me, do you think they've offered him an assistant coach? Do you think? I don't know for a fact. I don't know for a fact if they've offered him an assistant coach. This is the feeling that I have from the outside. The feeling I have from the outside is I don't think he needs that kind of help. And, he brought in Roger Grillo. And by the way, by no means am I saying that Marty's insecure, but hear me out on this one. He brought in Roger Grillo, who will never take his job in Montreal. Right? Okay? So he's there. He's in the background. He's helping out. I don't think Marty wants to bring in an assistant coach. I think that mentality he's had his entire life. I'm going to show them, the doubters. People think I can't get a defensive game going. People think I'm not an all-around coach. People think I can't adjust. People think I can't make changes on the fly. People think I can't tighten things up here. People think I can't turn it around and we'll stop giving up goals. I'll show them I have the solution. So if I had to bet, and I don't know for a fact, I would bet he doesn't want an experienced veteran coach who has different ideologies, probably sees the game a different way than him, and sometimes you think that that's a great compliment, I'd be willing to bet he doesn't want that.
I would doubt he wants it either. Because again, listen, it's a lot easier when you only got to worry about yourself as a player. As a coach, when you're worrying about the whole shebang, it's a lot more difficult. It is. You're dealing with all those personalities, and you're trying to get the most out of each player. And it's not always so easy. But having that more experienced guy there again, and throwing those other ideas at him, man, that's like putting two magnets together, I think. They're pushing away from each other. And maybe that's why, for sure, he's always proved people wrong, and he wants to. So something he probably just would never accept.
So yesterday during the press conference, he talked about finding an identity, okay?
Yep.
It's going to be 3 years he's here in February, and he's talking about finding an identity now, okay?
Yeah.
Which means they don't have one yet. Okay, not the end of the world. They're in a rebuild. They're starting to turn around. This is the way I think they have to play. You and I have talked about traffic.
Where did that come from? Remember we were at Winnie's and I said this team has no identity?
Yeah.
All of a sudden we're talking about identity?
And you suggested they start trapping every now and then. I've looked at this team. You and I have had this conversation. You've been on top of this since day one, okay?
Yeah.
The way I think this team has to play, when you don't have the horses, you either play the most defensive game in the world, but chances are, if you play the most defensive game in the world, you don't get a lot of opportunities, and the other team's going to come at you. Chances are you're going to lose, but you're going to lose respectably, right? That's chances are that's what's going to happen. If I was them, I would try and implement a little bit more speed into the lineup, Try and cause those turnovers that you just talked about, and be a counter-attacking team.
But you do. The thing is, when you play that system, the trap. Okay? Yeah. When you play that system, that's what you generate off it. Neutral zone turnovers, and away you go. Okay? So they have enough speed to do that. As far as knowing when to set up in that defensive formation and when not to is the key to the whole thing. Like there's times that you shouldn't, as a group on the ice, play that system. And you got to recognize those times. Okay? And one of those times you should is when they have a full total control. And they have the puck behind the net. Set up. Let them give it back to you. Force them to give it back to you. That's what that whole system does. It creates turnovers in the neutral zone. But you have to be able to recognize the time to use that and not. And it's pretty simple. And then it's not saying, no, you can't pinch. It's not saying, no, you can't take some risk in the offensive zone. It's not saying, no, you can't go forecheck. You don't just set up and trap every time. You got to recognize the time to do it when you're on the ice. And if you practice that in practice, you show the players how this thing works, they get confidence in it, and then they do it. I remember with Jock, implementing that system with us was really beneficial to our game. There's no question about it. But on top of that, Tony, we worked, because what happens when you turn pucks over in the neutral zone? You end up with 2-on-1s, odd man rushes, stuff like that.
Yeah.
We worked on 2-on-1s every day in practice.
Got it.
We and all different types, not just 2-on-1 straight down. We would cross over. Then he would always implement these little nuances that there was always something strategic in it, because he said, what's going to happen when you play this system? You are going to feed off those turnovers. So when you get that 2-on-1 in a game, you got to make it count. You have to get a good scoring opportunity. How many times you see 2-on-1s get broken up? A lot.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. And sometimes they're effective. But we worked on those odd man rushes a lot. And listen, I'm not saying the whole time, dumb it down, be it just back on your heels all the time. That's not what it's about. It's about being on your toes, being in good position to keep the puck out of the middle of the ice and feed off those turnovers, go the other way. And I think for this team, being a young team, it's a great way to get players units and players together on the ice, thinking together, and being responsible to one another to create this. And defense is hard work in your own end of the rink.
Yeah.
You got to be able to read and react. And we never played man on man. And I'm a Lemaire disciple, whatever. I don't care.
Yeah.
We never played man on man. And he said, this is what he said to me. He said, I believe man on man creates selfish hockey.
Yeah.
And so what do you mean? He said, I got my man. I got my man. I got my man. I got my. No, I want you to have the vision to be able to read the play and react to what's going on. And boy, listen, it was hard at first. I had a hard time with it at first. I did. I'm like, geez, I don't want to screw up. And we would practice it until it became ingrained in us.
Yeah.
And we get in a game, and not often, but the times I got back into my end of the rink before Cabo did, and I had to play down low, I could do it. And we got to the point where I'd be down there playing, and we'd even call a switch, and I'd get out, and he'd come in, and we read off each other. It wasn't, okay, I'm a robot.
Yeah.
No. And anyway, I just think it'd be beneficial for this team to play that style of hockey. And the biggest thing, like I said, is to be able to differentiate when it's time to set up in that and when it's time to forecheck and go. So, and what a game Monday night, tomorrow night, to be able to try that.
Speaking of a couple of things, actually, an Oilers team that lost to Toronto yesterday, the Ryan Reeves hit on Darnell Nurse, that was unbelievable. That was a headshot. Yeah. But speaking of man-on-man, that was a fight for men last night, eh?
Yeah.
Arbor Jackeye versus Mathieu Olivier.
And listen, that Olivier, tough kid, you know what I think of Abba. I love him. And he got dinged, Abba. That 2 punches he got hit were good. He threw some good punches, too.
Yeah.
He connected, and that kid's a tough kid. He can take a punch, too. Now, when he went down, instead of staying down, he got right back up, which impresses me. And then he hung in there right to the end, and boom, it was over. My whole thing with Abba, with any fighter, and it's great. He's big. He got the reach. He got all that. We saw what Olivier did to Rempe. Okay, he ruined the kid's face.
Yes,
but the kid has him with his left hand. He got him right here, and I see a lot of fighters doing this today. They all grab right in here, and that's great.
Yeah.
You got the length, and you're fighting a guy with shorter arms. Well, you have a chance to maybe just keep him out there, but there's a way inside, and a lot of times. And Olivier got inside of Rempe. You saw him. He hit him with uppercuts. Then he came over the top. He got in on him. A guy, honestly, if you're not a lefty and you don't have the confidence with that punch, that's why guys do not throw it. If they're a righty, I'm going to go with my best shot. But if you're able instead to grab here, to grab the guy's inside his elbow and resist on him, you're taking his strength away. So Olivier, you take his strength away right away. Oh, he's still going to throw punches, but you're controlling his arm. They're going to be not as effective. You're going to be able to duck them. They're going to bounce off your head. They're not coming as fast. And then at one point...
the other guy's going to be more tired.
Yeah, he's going to tire. And at one point, he's going to tire. That's once he comes through with, say, that 5th punch or 6th punch, and he comes through, you let go of the arm and come right back as he's pulling back again and hit him. You will stun him. You can grab him again, or you can hit him with a second left, and then grab him again, and then get your right working. And I just think it's wrong. Well, not wrong, but just I don't think grabbing a guy there, it's as effective. And great, you want to stand back there and swing and maybe get knocked out or break your nose or whatever, go right ahead and do it. But if you want to fight a little bit smarter and be better technically, I think, you got to start doing that or you're going to get hurt.
So I think we got the same read on the fight. First of all, good for Arbor for wanting to start a fight a couple of minutes after I think Columbus tied up the game. It's 1-1. They're midway through the second. The team is flat. They need a little bit of a jump, and he wants to give his team a jump. And Olivier wanted to give his team a jump as well.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Number 2, Arbor Buckles. Olivier caught him with the better shots. I give Olivier the 10-9 decision, but I give Arbor a lot of credit for getting back up because a lot of guys would have stayed down.
Oh, yeah.
So he's a tough kid, but Arbor takes too many punches when he fights.
Yeah.
I think he takes too many punches. And more often than not, he's got such brute strength. He's 6'4", 225, whatever it is.
Hands too.
He's got huge
such
hands.
big. If he ever grabs in here, the guy, if he's a righty, he is done. He gets him there, he's done. He won't be able to throw a punch that could come close to her. It won't break an egg. The punch if he controls the guy.
Olivier is strong, man. I'm sure that Arbor.
No, that kid's a tough. He's a tough bastard. I really love that kid.
I'm sure Arbor wouldn't mind having a guy like that on the Canadiens. You know what I mean? Like, be able to answer the bell every now and then when he's
like
not
Nick
answering.
Nick Delarier, a player like that. No question. Yeah. So Tony, we talk a little bit. Yeah, this rebuild and all that, and the fan base. We thought this year there was going to be some promise. Oh, we'd like to be in there this year in the mix.
Yeah,
it was said. Well, the injury happens to Laine. Ryan Becker gets hurt, and it starts off not good that way. Everybody's like, "Oh, there goes our season." But regardless, I think those two guys are healthy. The Habs, they might win another game. Who knows?
Yeah.
But that being said, and it's tough. The fans are expecting more here. And listen, everybody knew and said, okay, we're okay with the rebuild.
Yeah.
Okay? And we always say 5 years at least we want to see something happen here. You're not going to win a Stanley Cup in 5 years when you rebuild, okay? You're not going to.
No.
You're not going to. You hope you're going to be, by that 5th year, in the playoffs, okay?
Yeah.
And then moving forward in the playoffs consistently, and then eventually making that progress toward the goal of winning the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
We're in year 3 here. Everybody is frustrated because they've seen the team kind of take a step back. I think the frustration comes from, obviously, expectations. What were the expectations given at the golf tournament this year? We're hoping, be in the mix, like be right there.
Yeah.
And I even thought, provided this team was progressing like they were last year, we saw the end of the season, Slav, Suzuki, Caulfield, things were looking good. Woo, here we go. Make a couple changes.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, now we see that bit of a regression. This is the process of rebuilding. And I get people are frustrated, but it's not going to change even next year. Don't expect to make the playoffs next year. You can't think they're going to make the playoffs next year, no matter what changes they make right now. Well, next year, they probably won't. And maybe by year 5, they will. Who knows? But definitely not this year. We know that. And next year even.
Yeah, so there's nothing they've done this year to prove to me or show me that they're going to be a playoff team. So I don't think they're going to make the playoffs this year. I'm not going to write them off for a playoff spot next year because this young core that they have, they should be getting better every year, whether it's on defense or whether it's at the forward position.
Yep.
Next year, you're hoping that Patrick Laine is going to start with a good training camp and he's going to start healthy all year. And Demidov is going to come over next year. So I'm not going to write them off. There's so many things that can happen in the offseason. Who knows if they can go out and pick up a free agent? Who knows what move they make? Yada, yada,
Bring
yada.
some men in.
I won't write them off next year. I will say this. I think the media, they shot themselves in the foot by saying in the mix, by the way. I think they should have just said, our goal is, the same thing it's been since year 1, is to take a step forward. That's it.
Yeah.
All right? Everyone to improve individually, or that's all. We want to see progression. Perfect. I think it would have been better. The media can hurt or help this whole process because one of the things I think you're seeing, who's going to be really upset by what's going on, the losses? when there's losses or when there's games that are not overly entertaining, the viewership goes down on television. Doing a little bit of work in television, I can tell you that makes a lot of people in TV very mad. When the numbers go down, the media who does the TV media, they're not happy. If the numbers go down in terms of listenership on radio, well, the people that are involved in radio are not happy. Personally, the numbers don't impact my work whatsoever, me personally, right? And I think it's a challenge to actually do a show when they're losing games. But it's not fun when you lose all the time, right? So it's not fun for anybody because Montreal is just a lot more fun when you win more often than not. But I think people need to realize that when Kent Hughes came out last week and said, patience, we're not going to change anything. We're not going to put a Band-Aid right now. A lot of people may not have liked his answer, but it's a great answer to give because how many times have we seen in the past the Canadiens looked like they had a plan and their plan was Pacioretty, and the next thing you know, he wasn't their plan anymore and he was traded. They looked like they had a plan and their plan was Subban, and the next thing you know, he wasn't their plan anymore, he was traded. They looked like they had a plan and his name was Radulov, and you know what? It wasn't their plan anymore, and then all of a sudden, you know what? He ended up getting signed by another team. They looked like they had a plan with a coach, and then all of a sudden he was gone, another coach was in. So, look, they have their idea. And whether they make they have a plan, they're gonna stick to it, and only time will tell whether or not their plan worked.
Cool. And we will see, and hopefully, again, the fanatics, the fans, will understand this. And it's tough. It's frustrating. People come to the game, they're spending money to come to the game, and they're not seeing the results and the progress, and that's when the pressure comes. And I think this fan base too has been really patient, and now people, they want more, and it's too soon to really want that that consistency every night from a team. One thing you can expect, or no, you should want from this team is at least the consistency in effort every night from everybody, not Brendan Gallagher, Jake Gibbons, this one, that one. Everybody on that team. They're going to get
better. Let's not forget, Dvorak's in the final year of his contract. Chances are he'll be gone, with all due respect to him. Armia's in the final year of his contract. Chances are he's going to be gone, with all due respect to him. David Savard is probably one that they're going to think about for a while, but I think he's slowing down. And I think he'll be gone by the trade deadline. But I could be wrong on that one because he's well-respected and well-appreciated by his teammates. After this season, Josh Anderson and Brendan Gallagher will have 2 years left on their contract, and I would think that they're going to be gone at the end of their deal. So there's going to be some turnover that's going to happen here. They're going to get better. Demidov's going to come over next year. It's going to happen. The one thing I will say is this, is if I'm Jeff Gordon, I'm Kent Hughes, though, I'm a little bit concerned about two of the big moves that I made over the last couple of years. One was acquiring Doc and one was acquiring Newhook and giving up the draft picks that I gave to get these guys because they haven't been overly convincing. They're still young. They could turn it around, but those trades by no means have been a slam dunk so far.
Listen, you're not going to bat 1,000. You're just not going to. There's going to be. They've made a lot of great moves, right? They've in trying to put this thing together, and you hope they hit on most of them, and some you're gonna swing and miss.
But the three major moves they made were Doc, Newhook, and Marty.
Yeah,
those were the three major moves. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, we will. Listen, this week the Raw Knuckles podcast on Wednesday. You don't want to miss it. I had a great conversation with a guy that I slapped in the face once on the street.
I'm back on?
During the Canada Cup.
Oh, okay.
Rick Vive. We had a great conversation. Let bygones be bygones, and they are gone. Let me tell you. We actually talked about that. I addressed it with him, and the conversation, it was pretty funny. Rick Vive certainly a great goal scorer back in the day.
Fantastic.
Yeah, played in the Q, PEI, grew up out there on the island, and big career in Toronto. Did really well on a personal note as far as scoring goals. So, yeah, great chat with him. That's coming out Wednesday. Don't want to miss it. And listen, we're going to take your questions now. If we have one on the board here, Tony from Sobels. Sobels says, do you think MS sees himself in Jake Evans? MS mentioned the league doesn't care about the draft round. I think it's possible Jake may have an extra level with time. What do you guys think? Well, Jake Evans, an extra level? No. I think he's right where he belongs. That's what we're going to see. He's going to chip in now and again offensively, work his ass off, killing penalties, and be a, kind of like a Carbonneau, and play well defensively, be that check and center iceman, out there for important face-offs, stuff like that. I don't see him, getting to that next level. I just don't. I love him as a player. He's a great kid. He'll do anything to win. He's a great teammate and all that, but I don't see that next level. Tony?
Marty St. Louis, a guy who's already had seasons of 100 points, 102 points, 99 in the 90s, 45 goals, 48 goals, whatever that is. No, I definitely don't think Marty St. Louis sees himself in Jake Evans.
No.
I think Jake Evans is a fourth-line centerman on a team that wins the Cup.
There you go.
With the ceiling to probably be a third line, because he is underrated. He's a very smart hockey player.
Yeah, he is.
But I think he's a fourth-line centerman on a team that wins the Cup, and Marty St. Louis is a first-line winger on a team that won the Cup. So, no, I don't think he sees himself in Jake Evans.
Not at all. Right. What do we got? Dennis Roberts. Dennis, how are you, Dennis? Would you put Lane Hudson on the power play now, not when things go bad? I think he would help that power play in a big way. Tony, I'll let you start with that one.
Yeah, the way I'm going to start is I understand that Mike Matheson's on the first wave of the power play. I get it. Mike Matheson picked up 62 points last year, and Mike Matheson scored a big power play goal last night for the Canadiens. Also had an assist on Josh Anderson's goal that was deflected. But I'll say this. I think it's going to happen organically. It's going to happen with time. Lane Hudson's going to be on that first wave of the power play. You'll remove some minutes from Mike and Matheson, who already plays 27, 28 minutes a game, and because he plays that many minutes, he ends up making mistakes. For Matheson's longevity, I think it would be a good thing. I don't have a problem with Matheson, but if there's nights that he's not going, like the other night in Minnesota where he was not going and Lane was going, then I especially want to see him. Yeah, that's it.
Do it. Yeah, I get it too. You see him some nights, he's pressing, he's taking that making that high risk play, and sometimes the puck ends up going the other way and they get a great scoring chance or get scored again. So I'm with you, Tony, on that. And I love to see Lane Hudson go out there once in a while and start on the power play. Just give him that chance. Believe me, I would watch. Like, I played in the power play the odd time. Go stand in front of the net, okay? I get it. Be available off to the side, be in the corner, come up with the puck, outman them, all that stuff, okay? It's not rocket science, but especially for a guy like me, when it comes to the power play, I know what to do, and that's get to the front of the net and timing and all that. But, those guys on the second power play, man, they sit there. They're like, I can't wait to get out there. And all of a sudden, the clock's ticking. They keep it in. They pass it around. They're moving around. All of a sudden, they're looking up, and they get out on the ice, and they go, oh, shit, we only got 20 seconds left here to do something. It's like that pressure, Yeah. So it'd be nice to see him get out there one time, be able to, start off and not have that pressure of, oh, I got 20 seconds left here. I got to do something. So it'd be nice. And especially, like you said, Tony, nights when the other guy ain't going, reward the kid. And then also to cut back on the minutes, 27 minutes. Listen, he's a great athlete that way. He's got great endurance, Mike Matheson. And he is one of the best skaters to ever play this game. He's an unbelievable skater. But there's got to be a time we see this kid move up by. And eventually he's going to be taking the reins. But, I'd like to see him rewarded like you.
Yeah. Matheson glides on the ice. I'm sure you got a lot more questions.
Crazy.
When you used to have this segment on the radio, Ask Me Anything, you used to get hundreds and hundreds of
bombarded
questions.
with Ask Me Anything. But, that was after 4 or 5 years of being on the radio, you know what I mean? So, how we good here? From the Habs cave, Sunil, how are you, Sunil? Why isn't a guy like Pizzetta getting into the lineup? Does Marty prefer a certain type of player, skill over grit? Well, I'd have to ask Marty that, but
Sure looks that way.
yeah, it does. Listen, Mike Pizzetta, this team being in the position they are, where they are with 6 wins, hello, you can't find a place for this guy in the lineup if you don't want to do it at home, on the road. What better place to kind of spark your team? Here's a guy who goes out there every shift. He goes out on that ice. He is tracking people down. He's a predator. He's going to go out there and I'm going to go the net. I'm going to get into the corner. I'm going to hit someone. I'm going to finish my checks every time. Okay, he's not going to wow you, but he's going to certainly, give that effort night in and night out. And if not every night in the lineup, the way this season has gone for this team, you can't put him in one game.
Yeah.
Hello.
Look, I understand why he doesn't play his share of games. A lot of people view him as a 13, maybe a 14 on a Stanley Cup winning team. He's probably an easy guy to take out of the lineup because he's in his mid-20s. I think he's 26, so they're probably saying if he misses games, we won't stunt his development. He's probably already reached his ceiling. But you know what? He's got stronger over the last couple of years. He's worked on his wrist shot over the last couple of years. He's got a better release. He's become a better skater. I think he's a better player. I think he has got better. But so more often than not, he's not in the lineup. I get it. But when your team is flat and you need an energy player, he could provide a spark for sure.
Yeah. And again, we had talked earlier about this benching guys, sitting guys.
Yeah.
We saw Abba, right, get sent. And whatever the reasoning is, he gets sent to Laval, boom, he comes back, he gets taken out of the lineup. Again this year at the start of the season, boom, yanked. They got his attention. I think, honestly, he's been playing really well since he's been back in the lineup. Listen, for a guy that big man out on the ice, the development often takes longer. But here's a kid, and we talked about this before, Tony, but here's a kid that, for his size and his abilities, look at that play he made last night on Suzuki's goal. What a nice pass up the ice, boom.
Yeah.
He's made some great outlet passes. There's times he's going to make little mistakes here and there. He gave the puck away early. Every player does that.
Yeah.
Every player has done those things. It just seems like when he does it, it's so much more magnified, and he pays a price. So I'm just hoping for him the development continues. He's been playing well. He's been making good passes. He hasn't got scored against out there recently in the recent games. He's looked pretty consistent to me recently. I just hope they keep him in. I hope he keeps developing, as the season goes on here. So he's a guy I know. Every player in that room feels a hell of a lot more comfortable when the Jack guy's in the lineup,
Yeah.
Something come up my screen here.
The guys love him.
Yeah.
The guys love him.
Yeah, they do. And again, hopefully he I got something going on my screen here. Sorry.
Yeah, you were jamming up for a second there. That's okay. That's the beauty of the internet. It is what it is.
All right, we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm good. There we go. Yeah. So, any more questions there, Sammy boy? No more questions. Oh, yeah, we got one more. Joe Dambra. Joe, what about Gerard Gallant as an advisor to Marty?
Won't happen.
What do you think, Tone?
It won't happen now in the regular season if it does happen. And, I don't think Marty, I think he wants to do it his way.
Yeah, the same here. You know, we talked about this earlier. At this point in the season, it'd be crazy to bring someone in. For Marty, I get it. If things go the other way and things start getting better with that new guy in here, it doesn't look good on him. If you did it during the offseason, maybe. But Marty's strong-willed, wants to do his thing, and feels like he can persevere through this and get this team where he wants them. We will see. Positive game for the Habs last night, no question. Monday night, they have Edmonton. Going to be a real test for this team. I want to thank everybody for tuning in this morning with Tony and I. We'll be here every Sunday. Real Talk with Knuckles. Tony, thanks so much for joining me today.
Knuckles,
Appreciate
I'm honored. I was your first guest. My wife isn't happy because I didn't go to church with her today, but she usually gets mad at me because she says that I talk too much at church anyway. So thanks, Nux, for having me.
All right, Tony. All the best, buddy. Thanks, everybody.
Just like old times.
Yes, sir. Yep. Thanks, everybody. Again, we'll be back here every Sunday, 11 a.m. Knuckles, Tony, you know, my first guest. I'll have different people on during the season, and we'll have some fun with this. Thanks, everybody.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Raw Knuckles with Chris Nilan on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.